Good morning children. Today we are going to discuss about cell. Introduction to cell. Cells are the base unit of organism. Cells can only be observed under microscope. Basic type of cells: animal cell, plant cell, bacterial cell. Structure and function of cells. A cell, from Latin cell, a meaning small room, is the basic structural, functional and biological unit of all non-living organisms. A cell is the smallest unit of life that can replicate independently, and cells are often called the building blocks of life. Discovery of cell. Robert Hooke in 1665 observed a thin slice of cork called the empty space called cell. See the in first microscope. Hooke saw honeycomb-like structure when he observed thin slice of cork under a microscope. He noticed that each box was separated from the other by a partition of a wall. He was the one to name each of these boxes as cells. Cork is a part of the bark of a tree. Scientists could study cells of living organisms only when improved microscopes with high magnification were invented 150 years after the Hooke first observed the cells. In 1830s, two German scientists called Matthias Leiden and Swan proposed the cell theory, which started all living organisms are made of cells. Cells are basic structural or functional units of living organisms. All cells are born out of pre-existing cells through cell division. The cell. While cells are often referred to as bricks making a building, cells are complex living structures that can have a variety of shapes, size and functions. Did you know an egg of a hen is a single cell which can be seen by the naked eye? Organisms show variety in cell number, shape and size. To study cells, scientists use microscopes to magnify them. They often use stains to color part of the cell and study them in detail. The number of cells, 1 billion is equal to 1000 million. 1 trillion is equal to 1000 billion. There are billions and trillions of cells in a tall tree or a large animal. A human body also has trillion of cells which have different shapes, size and functions. Organisms can be of two types. Multicellular organisms are made up of more than one cell. For example, mango tree and frog. Unicellular organisms are made up of a single cell. For example, amoeba and paramecium. Did you know? Multicellular organisms with a billion of cells also start their life as a single cell. The fertilized eggs, which is a single cell, multiplies to form more cell as the organism develops. Single cell organism also perform all the necessary life function like multicellular organisms, including ingestion and digestion of food, respiration, excretion, reproduction and growth. The only difference is that while a single cell performs all the functions in the unicellular organisms, multicellular organisms have a specialized group of cells to perform different functions. The specialized cells from tissues, which in turn form organs. Shape of cells. Amoeba, which is a single-celled organism, does not have a definite shape. Its shape keeps changing as it moves or feeds, producing parts of its body to form pseudo, meaning false, podia, meaning feet. These projects are known as pseudopodia. Humans have millions of cells, such as white blood cells, cells that make up muscles, and cells that form nerves. Their shapes vary according to the function they perform. Most cells are round, spherical, or elongated. Some are spindle shaped, which are long and pointed at both ends. Nerve cells or neurons are quite long and are branched out to receive and transfer messages. See the smooth muscle cell, blood cells, nerve cells, ovum, bone cell, sperm cell, fat cell. Shape of the cells are maintained by a covering called cell membrane or plasma membrane. Bacterial cells and plant cells have an additional rigid covering called a cell wall. Size of cell. The size of the cells may vary from a millionth of a meter, known as micron, to a few centimeters, but most of them cannot be seen with the naked eye. We need microscope to see these microscopic cells. Smallest cell is found in bacteria and is just 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer length. The largest cell is an ostrich egg, which has an area of about 17 centimeter to 30 centimeter or 170 millimeter to 130 millimeter. It is not necessary that the size of cells of a large animal such as an elephant will be larger than cells of a small animal such as rat. The size of the cell depends on the function it performs. For example, nerve cells of a rat or nerve cells of an elephant perform the same functions and hence are of the same size. Cell structure and function. In a unicellular organism, a single cell performs all the basic functions of life. But in multicellular organisms, there is division of labor. See, the cell, basic structural unit of an organism from tissue. Tissues made up of specialized cells with similar functions. Form organs performing a particular function within the organ. Organs or parts perform a particular function such as respiration, digestion, etc. Basic components of cell. Everything inside a living cell is called protoplasm. Protoplasm is equal to nucleus plus cytoplasm. Cell membrane or plasma membrane. Cytoplasm, the nucleus. Plasma membrane separates from cell from one another. Protects the cell from the surrounding medium. Is porous and allows substance to move in and out of cell. Cytoplasm, jelly-like substances between the nucleus and the cell membrane, containing organelles of cells such as mitochondria, Golgi body, ribosome, etc. Nucleus as a control center of all the cell activities, it also plays an important role in inheritance. It is usually spherical, situated in the center of the cell and is vital part of the living cell. Nuclear membrane, the covering of the nucleus which separate the nucleus from the cytoplasm. It is porous and allow the cytoplasm and nucleus to exchange materials. Nucleolus, using the microscope of higher magnification, we see a smaller spherical body inside the nucleus, which is called nucleolus. Nucleolus play a vital role in making proteins in the cell. Chromosomes, thread-like structure in the nucleus with carry genes. Genes, unit of inheritance in living organisms which transfer hereditary characters from parent to offspring. Genes of parents combine in different ways to produce different characteristics in their offspring. Part of cell. To observe the basic component of plant cell, peel an onion. Place a small piece of the dry and thin onion peel in a drop of water and a glass slide. Put a drop of methylene blue solution or saffron in solution on this thin layer and place a cover slip on it while ensuring that no air bubbles get trapped in the cover slip. Place the slide under the microscope. See, the nucleus is presented, the cell wall, cell membrane and cytoplasm also presented. While you see, the boundary of onion cell is a cell membrane which is covered by another thick covering called the cell wall. The dense round body in the center of the cell is called the nucleus. The jelly-like substance between the cell membrane and the nucleus is called cytoplasm. To observe the basic components of an animal cell, scrape the inside of your cheek lightly with a clean toothpick. Place in a drop of water on a glass slide. Add a drop of iodine solution or methylene blue solution and place a cover slip on it. Place the slide under the microscope. See, just like that the buccal smear is appeared. Cheek cell. You will see cell membrane. Cell wall is absent in animal cells, nucleus and cytoplasm. There are some other organelles or components of cell. To these include mitochondria, ribosomes and Golgi bodies. Organelles found in both plant and animal cells are endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum is attached to nucleus to plasma membrane. Two different type of endoplasmic reticulum is presented. One is a smooth, another is a rough. See, the rough attachment of ribosome, that's called as a rough endoplasmic reticulum. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum without ribosome are presented. Cristae and the crystal space also presented. Endoplasmic reticulum is a network of channels made up of membrane that enclose a fluid-filled lumen. It is of two types. A rough endoplasmic reticulum. It is lined with ribosomes and hence look rough. Function of rough endoplasmic reticulum. It plays a key role in synthesis of protein as a ribosome are attached to it. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum, it does not have any ribosome and hence looks smooth. Function of smooth endoplasmic reticulum, it plays a key role in synthesis of lipids. See the structure of ribosome, the larger subunit and smaller subunit. Eukaryote containing for 80S ribosome, prokaryote containing for 70S ribosome. A ribosome protein factory of cells. Ribosomes are spherical bodies made up of RNA, ribonucleic acid, and protein enzyme. They do not have membranes and are present separately in cytoplasm. Function of ribosome. Ribosomes are the site where the protein synthesis takes place. Golgi body, see, a cyst phase, incoming transport vesicle, a lumen, secretory vesicle, transphase, newly forming vesicle, cistern. Golgi apparatus, smooth, flattened sac-like structure called cisternae stack together in parallel rows to form Golgi bodies. Golgi cyst phase receiving protein from endoplasmic reticulum and modified package and stores it. It also dispatches protein in vesicles to various destinations. Function of Golgi bodies. The Golgi apparatus are responsible for the secretion of enzymes, hormones, and proteins. Mitochondria. The mitochondria present for DNA, that's called as a empty DNA. Ribosomes, a matrix, outer membrane, inner membrane space, cristae junction, F0, F1 particle complex. Mitochondria are rod-shaped organelles with a double membrane. The outer membrane is smooth while the inner membrane folds over many times to form cristae. Cristae increases the surface area of the inner membrane by several times. Matrix is the fluid inside the mitochondria. Function of mitochondria. Mitochondria act as energy production site and are hence known as the powerhouse of the cell. Glucose plus oxygen gives rise to carbon dioxide, water plus energy. Lysosome. Say the structure of lysosome. Single wall membrane enzyme complex is plasma membrane. Food, phagocytosis, formation of food vacuole, and a lysosome, the autophage, digestion, and a rough endoplasmic reticulum transport vesicle. The transport vesicle to Golgi apparatus to lysosome. The phagosome and pyngosome is formed, is digested for the waste product. Lysosome is a single membrane organelles. Lysosome are sac-like structure surrounded by a single layer membrane. They contain powerful digestive enzyme that can break down all organic material. It acts as a mini digestive system within the cell. Function of lysosomes. A lysosome digests damaged cells and a variety of extra and intracellular material. Since they remove cell organelles that are worn out or are not functioning properly and may even digest the entire cells that are damaged or dead, they are also known as suicidal bags. See the vacuole. The vacuole present in plant cell and animal cell. The vacuole and tonoplast is present. The vacuole is large in plant cell. The vacuole is very small in animals. Vacuoles are organelles enclosed by a membrane and filled with fluid. Plant cells usually having a large vacuole filled with a liquid called as a cell sap. Cell sap containing dissolved sugar and salts. Animal cells may or may not have vacuoles. If they do have vacuoles, they are much smaller than the one found in plant cell. Function of vacuoles in plant cells. Vacuoles in plant cell keep the cell firm or turgid. They store various substances, including waste products of the cell. Function of vacuoles in animal cells. Vacuoles in animal cell stored food, water, sugar, minerals and waste product of the cell. In amoeba, vacuoles that contain food particles are also referred to as food vacuoles. Plastids. Plastids are also type of organelles that are found only in plants. Say the plastid, eleoplast, proplastid is derived from eleoplast, is derived from chromoplast, chloroplast, leucoplast. Leucoplast divided into amyloplast, eleoplast, proteinoplast. With a double-layered membrane, these organelles are found in cytoplasm of the cells. They are of two types, depending on the color of the pigments they contain. A leucoplast. These colorless organelles store starch, other plant nutrients. For example, starch stores in potato cells. Leucoplasts are of different types. Amyloplast stores starch. Eleoplast stored fat. Proteinoplast or alinoplast stored protein. Chromoplast, these contain different colored pigments. Most important type of chromoplast is chloroplast, which contain green colored pigments called chlorophyll. Function of chloroplast. Chloroplasts are the site where photosynthesis take place. Here, carbon dioxide and water combine in the presence of energy from the sunlight to produce food. Hence, chloroplasts help in synthesis of food by green plants. CO2 plus water gives rise to glucose and oxygen in the presence of chlorophyll plus sunlight. How do molecules move in and out of the cell? Molecules use two main methods of passive transport to move in or out of the cell. Osmosis and diffusion. Osmosis, see the figure, low sugar concentration, high water concentration. In between, using for semi-selective permeable membrane or semi-permeable membrane, the high sugar concentration and low water concentration. When the solvent move from the area of dilute solution to the area of concentrated solution through a semi-permeable membrane, in order to equalize the concentration level of both the solution, the process is known as osmosis. For example, roots absorb water from the soil through osmosis. Diffusion. See, when the particles of any material move from a region of high concentration to that of lower concentration, Until the equilibrium is reached, the process is known as diffusion. For example, when you spray perfume, its fragrance spread in the air through diffusion. Difference between osmosis and diffusion. Osmosis, only solvent molecules move from one place to another. Diffusion, solvent as well as solute molecules can move from one place to another. Osmosis takes place only in liquids. Diffusion takes place in all the three mediums, solid, liquid and gases. Osmosis takes place through a semi-permeable membrane. Diffusion does not need a membrane. Plant cell definition. Plant cell are eukaryotic cells that vary in several fundamental factors from other eukaryotic organisms. Both plant and animal cells contain nucleus along with similar organelles. One of the distinctive aspects of the plant cell is the presence of a cell wall outside the cell membrane. See the plant cell diagram. The cell wall is presented, followed by cell membrane, followed by the Golgi apparatus, large vacuole membrane is presented, chloroplast is presented, a rapid crystal, juicy crystal, mitochondria presented, the cytoplasm also presented, a ribosome presented, a Golgi vesicle presented, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, a nucleus, rough endoplasmic reticulum, large central vacuole, amyloplast or starch grain are presented in plant cell. Just like different organs within the body, plant cell structure include various components known as cell organelles that perform different functions to sustain itself. These organelles include cell wall. It is a rigid layer which is composed of cellulose, glycoprotein, lignin, pectin and hemicellulose. It is located outside the cell membrane. It comprises proteins, polysaccharides and cellulose. The primary function of the cell wall is to protect and provide structural support to the cell. The plant cell wall is also involved in protecting the cell against mechanical stress and to provide form and structure to the cell. It also filters the molecule passing in and out of the cell. The formation of the cell wall is guided by microtubules. It consists of three layers, namely primary, secondary and middle lamella. The primary cell wall is formed by cellulose laid down by enzymes. Cell membrane. It is the semi-permeable membrane that is present within the cell wall. It is composed of thin layer of protein and fat. The cell membrane plays an important role in regulating the entry and exit of specific substance within the cell. For instance, cell membrane keeps toxins from entering inside, while nutrients and essential minerals are transported across. Nucleus. The nucleus is a membrane-bound structure that is present only in eukaryotic cells. The vital function of a nucleus is to store DNA or hereditary information required for cell division, metabolism, and growth. Nucleolus, it manufactures cells protein producing structures and ribosomes. Nucleopores, a nuclear membrane is perforated with holes called nucleopore that allows proteins and nucleic acid to pass through. Plastids, they are membrane bounded organelles that have their own DNA. They are necessary to store starch to carry out the process of photosynthesis. It is also used in the synthesis of many molecules which form the building block of the cell. Some of the vital type of plastids and their function are stated below. Leucoplast, they are found in non-photosynthetic tissues of plants. They are used for the storage of protein, lipid, and starch. Chloroplast, it is an elongated organelle enclosed by phospholipid membrane. The chloroplast is shaped like a disc and the stroma is fluid within the chloroplast that comprise a circular DNA. Each chloroplast containing a green colored pigments called chlorophyll required for the process of photosynthesis. The chlorophyll absorbs light energy from the sun and uses it to transform carbon dioxide and water into glucose. See the picture of chloroplast. The outer membrane and inner membrane is presented. The lumen, the thylakoid, the stroma lamella is presented. Intermembrane space and stroma, granum, thylakoid arranged in a disc shape, the granum is presented. Chromoplast, they are heterogeneous colored plastid which is responsible for pigment system synthesis and from storage of photosynthetic eukaryotic organism. Chloroplasts have red, orange and yellow colored pigments which provide color to all ripe fruits and flowers. Central vacuole, it occupies around 30% of cell's volume in a mature plant cell. Tonoplast is a membrane that surrounds central vacuole. The vital function of central vacuole, apart from storage, is to sustain turgid pressure against the cell wall. The central vacuole consists of cell sap. It is a mixture of salts, enzymes, and other substances. Plant cell types. Cells of matured and higher plant become a specialized to perform certain vital functions that are essential for their survival. Few plant cells are involved in the transportation of nutrients and water, while others for storing food. The specialized plant cell include parenchyma cells, sclerenchyma cells, collenchyma cells, xylem cells and phloem cells. Following are some of the different type of plant cells. Collenchyma cells. They are hard or rigid cell which play a primary role in providing support to the plants when there is returning growth in a plant due to lack of hardening agent in primary wall. Sclerenchyma. These cells are more rigid compared to collenchyma cells, and this is because of the presence of hardening agent. These cells are usually found in all plant roots and mainly involved in providing support to the plants. Parenchyma cells. Parenchyma cells play a significant role in all plants. They are the living cells of plants which are involved in the production of leaves. They are also involved in the exchanging of gases, production of food, storage of organic products, and cell metabolism. These cells are typically more flexible than others because they are the thinner. Xylem cell. Xylem cells are the transport cell in vascular plants. They help in the transport of water and minerals from roots to the leaves and other part of the plants. Phloem cells. Phloem cells are other transport cells in vascular plant. They transport food prepared by the leaves to different part of the plants. Why do plant cell have cell wall? A cell wall is the outer thickening layer in plant cell that protect the cell membrane. Since plants cannot move from their place, this cell wall serves to protect their cells from the possible damage by temperature variation, high wind speed, atmospheric moisture, etc. Prokaryotic cells. Bacterial cell and cells of blue-green algae do not have well-defined nucleus, plural nucleus, like those of multicellular organism. The cell of such organism have nuclear material without the nuclear membrane. Such cells are called prokaryotic cells, where pro stand for primitive and karyon stand for nucleus. Organisms with prokaryotic cells are known as prokaryotes. Eukaryotes. Plant and animal cells with well-organized nucleus with a nuclear membrane are called eukaryotic cells. U stands for true, while karyon stands for nucleus. Organisms with eukaryotic cell are known as eukaryotes. A difference between prokaryote and eukaryote. See, the prokaryote DNA is clumped in an area, but there is no organized nucleus with a membrane. In eukaryote, two nucleus is present, which is well organized and has a nuclear membrane. Prokaryote do not have any organelles except ribosome. In eukaryote, usually having organelles like Golgi body, lysosome, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. See, the prokaryote smaller in size, eukaryote larger in size. Prokaryote example bacteria and blue-green algae. Eukaryote example plants and animal cells.
Comparison of plant cell and animal cells. Now we know that both plant and animal cell have cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus and nuclear membrane. We also know that only plant cell, bacterial and fungal cell have cell walls. See the picture of plant cell. The plant cell having cell wall, cell membrane, Golgi apparatus, chloroplast, vacuole, membrane, mitochondria, cytoplasm, two different type of endoplasmic reticulum, smooth and rough, nucleolus, nucleus, large central vacuoles, and amyloplast also presented. See the animal cell. The animal cell only plasma membrane is presented, mitochondria presented, Golgi apparatus presented, nucleolus, nucleus, centrioles, each composed of 9 microtubule triplets, 9 plus 2 arrangements, microtubule, cytoplasm, ribosome, present for two type of endoplasmic reticulum, smooth and rough, and lysosome, Golgi vesicle also presented. There are some other difference in a plant and animal cell that you need to know. Plants have large vacuole while animal has small vacuole. Vacuole store water or food for plants and even stored waste product until they can be discarded. Plants need bigger vacuole as they cannot move to satisfy their hunger of thirst. Only plant cell having plastid, they help in manufacturing of storage of food. Only animal cell have centrioles. Centriole help in the division of cell. Thank you.